We are back on MorningLine. Professor Richard Tarpey is with us from MTSU, assistant professor there. And Professor Tarpey was saying just before we went to the break, you know, it's important that you have jobs that bring things to the table, that it's producing something. But we are in an unprecedented, uncharted territory with social media and everything, and folks can just go on there and make a video on TikTok and make money. And I don't begrudge them that. There are people clicking to watch them. What is wrong, not with them doing that, but how does that not help the economy?
All right, so when you start getting enough people that are earning a living through, let's call it entertainment, right? Entertainment's a viable industry.
Sure.
Absolutely, been around forever.
Yeah, I mean, how is that different than, say, making movies?
Right, so it's all entertainment.
Okay.
Right? However, it's not producing anything of value for the economy. Now, we could have a long conversation and through multiple paths say, yeah, it does help the economy because it's exchanging money, people are making profit, people are getting paid, that kind of thing. The people who create the videos are getting paid, so they have money to spend in the economy and they're boosting the economy. But at the end of the day, if we have the majority of workers doing that type of work, who's building the cars? Who's processing the meat? Who's building all these little consumable goods that we take in every day? If we don't have people actually working in production, you don't have a foundation for the economy.
Right.
Because we have to have the necessities. If you don't have people to drive the trucks, right? And we've seen this with the ports. Okay, so the ports on the West Coast are open 24 hours a day.
Yep.
Wow, great. Are the ports right now open 24 hours a day? No. They tried it on the average. I was just reading, I think yesterday, the Port of Los Angeles is open maybe 1 or 2 days, 24 hours. The other days they're not open 24 hours because there's no trucks there to pick anything up.
Yep.
So if nobody comes to pick anything up, what's the point of being open?
Right.
So the administration made a big media blitz. Hey, we've convinced the ports to be open 24 hours a day. Great. The ports are open 24 hours a day. Goods are still not flowing through.
Yeah.
There's not enough truck drivers to flow them through. Right now that we have a container problem. Right, we don't have any empty containers. You can't ship stuff without empty containers. Now we have no truck drivers to bring the empty containers back to the port so they can be shipped back to where they need to be or filled and shipped back. We certainly don't fill all the containers because we don't export enough in this country.
Yeah.
Right, we have to ship empty containers back to China and back to Asia to get more goods. So we have all these problems that need to be solved with workers. Now, granted, nothing to say that there's anything wrong with being a YouTube or a TikTok video star, but as we have more of our economy focused on that type of entertainment, it's a zero-sum game. We have to trade off. There's only so many people in the United States to work. Right? So if nobody's doing production or less people are doing production, we have to expect there's going to be a supply problem.
This seems to be, to me, a permanent sea change. I mean, I don't see that changing, and social media is not going away, and that's just one aspect of it. But you were just hitting on it. I mean, there are people that get frustrated, and I don't when I go through a drive-through at a fast food restaurant. You said you go to Dunkin' Donuts. I'll go through a fast food restaurant, and I find, in general now, and it wasn't like this a couple years ago, but I wait longer. Sometimes the wait is long enough that had that happened 2 years ago, I would have been seriously annoyed.
Right.
I don't get annoyed now. I'm very pleasant to every service industry worker, you know, and I was back then, but I would have been more annoyed. Today, I know it's probably 1 or 2 people back in that restaurant scrambling, trying to get a whole line of folks through the drive-thru. It's not their fault. They're asked to work and they're by themselves. So and we all know, I've seen plenty of these fast food restaurants shut down for a period of a weekend or something like that to give people a break. If that doesn't change and you simply don't have people to work, and you can't force folks to go work with the shipping or to drive trucks or to work in fast food restaurants. They have their choice like anyone else to work where they want. I mean, I just see our economy perhaps permanently changing. I can see fast food restaurants to some degree completely. I don't know, maybe they'll find a way to do it all self-serve. I don't know. Because, I mean, what do you think? Because if it doesn't reverse and it continues to go in this direction, the business model of opening a business, hiring employees, and doing things, going away. People want to work from home. Right. People maybe don't want to work at one job alone. Maybe they want to have 3 or 4 different jobs. They can do that now. They're not going to just one place. Right. I mean, that could be permanent, couldn't it?
It could be. I think what we have not focused on appropriately is the worker side of the equation.
Okay.
Right. So we focused a lot on vaccine mandates, mask mandates, and to a certain degree that impacts the worker, certainly. But we hadn't focused on what are the root causes of workers not being there.
Okay.
Right, so if you think about how this country has dealt with worker issues in the past. So if we think about after World War II, if we think about after the recession of in the 80s, one thing we didn't do is we didn't send everybody checks. Right, that was not how we solved the problem. That's treating a symptom.
Right.
That's not solving a problem. So if you look at the root causes, we need to be addressing where's our workers? Why are our workers not working, right? So COVID-19, everybody understands that. That's something that's uncontrollable. However, we have to think about long-term now. COVID's not going away. How are we going to adapt our society to handle COVID-19, much like we have the flu and other things? So how do we get workers back where they need to be, whether it be with masks, whether it be with wages that entice workers to come back, which once you raise wages, obviously, people have more money to spend, which means price of things go up. We go back to that built-in inflation wage spiral potential, but that is more controllable with the tools we have in the economy than the other two types of inflation. So if we think about how do we focus on workers, getting them back, stop giving them money not to go to work. You know, I think probably people will disagree with me. There's opinions on both sides. People are looking now as armchair quarterbacks saying, well, was it the right thing to do to give everybody $1,500? It boosted inflation. I don't care what any politician says. We have the evidence. It boosted inflation, right? We have multiple things hitting inflation. You can't blame inflation on any one thing right now because we did so many things that all impacted. You know, we call that slot machine management in the management world. If I'm going to fix a problem and I offer 10 solutions, something changes, I don't know what solution did what.
Which was it?
Right, and that's what we did. We just threw stuff at COVID and everything. We did all kinds of stuff, so we have no idea what worked. And we have no idea what will work because our economy now is so connected globally with globalization. You know, Germany has high inflation. All of Europe has high inflation right now. We look at Turkey. Turkey's a great example of, well, let's try something different. They tried something different. They got double-digit inflation now. Right?
Where's it working? What country is doing well?
I don't know of any country that's doing well. I mean, everybody's managing. I don't know of any country right now that's really got low inflation. It's hard to tell where China is. China is technically doing well, but we don't really know. Right? We just go based on what comes out of China, and that, of course, is all skewed a little bit.
Yeah, you never know. You're right.
They're always looking good with the information we have. Now, we have people that estimate what the reality is, but it's still kind of an estimate. So I think until we adapt to COVID, because COVID's not going to go away, until we adapt to COVID somehow and make it just part of our life the way it is, and get people back to work, we're going to have high inflation. You know, we have to have the truck drivers back. We have to have people back. This might be a controversial topic. We have to get schools open again. Now, our schools are open in Tennessee. Right? Schools are not open everywhere. They're shutting down again here and there. If you're a parent and you have children, you can't go have a full-time job not knowing if your child's going to be in school or not next week. Right. Because you can't just say, hey, I'm going to call in sick for a month now because the school's closed. Right? And then childcare is not open, so you're out of options. I can't go to work. I have to stay home, which is explains a lot of where the labor force went. Right? A lot of folks they're staying at home now.
Yeah, some by choice, some by no choice.
Exactly.
With childcare. You have a couple phone calls. Let's see if we have some questions. Let's go to Charles. Charles, good morning. Hi, Charles.
Hey, the reason we walk is simple because we have material needs that needs to be deported, like food, clothing, and shelter. But right now, a lot of people are getting food stamps, they're getting Social Security disability, even shelter is feeding the homeless. And not only that, the government gave us stimulus checks. So would you say the reason a lot of companies are overworked and understaffed is because no one wants to work when so much of our material needs is free from the government and we're becoming a welfare state of lazy people?
Well, all right. I mean, that's one theory people have said. Now, you know, it was interesting when a lot of that money, that unemployment supplement that was given from the federal government to complement what the states gave went away. It's not like all of a sudden everyone went running back to work. right after that. So, I mean, there may be something to that. What do you think? I mean, if no one's getting rich on unemployment in Tennessee, I can tell you that. Tennessee's one of the lowest in the whole state. If you're living on unemployment now in Tennessee, you're hurting, period. You need to find a job. But, the whole welfare state argument, I mean, maybe you mentioned wasn't the best idea to give so many stimulus checks, stimulated, the economy or led to inflation. What do you think?
Well, personal opinion would be that the stimulus should have been a little more targeted. Right? There were people like me who did not need stimulus. People who had full-time jobs did not need any money from the federal government. If the money had been funneled to the individuals who truly need it, right? Individuals who can't work, individuals who are homeless, individuals who don't have jobs, not necessarily by choice. It's not voluntary unemployment, right? It's forced unemployment. That's where the money should have gone, to help with basic necessities, much like our caller said. So obviously, if you give somebody money every week, the majority of them are not going to go to work if work pays less than what you're giving me for free.
Right, and I know at some point it was true. There were people with the unemployment and that were making more money on that during that brief period of time than they were at whatever lower paying job they were in. And so at that point, well, now you're going to go where the most money is, so sit at home and don't work.
Right, well now we've ended those
That's all
incentives,
gone, yeah.
And we have not seen a drastic rise in homelessness like everybody predicted was going to happen in Washington, D.C. Several people. Oh, yeah, we're going to have a bunch of people homeless if we stop this. Well, we stopped this and we didn't have that. People did go back to work to a certain degree.
Yes. Let's take a call from James. James, good morning. Hi, James. Are you there, James?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Hey, good morning.
Yes, sir.
What's on your mind?
Good morning.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
I got a good one for you. Put the military boys on that logistical side. You want to stop the nightmare? They do it all over the globe. They're the best in the world at it. That takes care of supply. To put the people back on the streets, man, you start doing just what we're doing. Podcasts off your computer, talking to one another and making everybody, hey, look, this is what I think. What do you think?
Well, that social media, people spend time. Hey, he's not wrong. The military, in terms of getting stuff involved and moving, maybe he was referring to getting over there to the ports and have the military, it's just not something, I like his idea of that kind of efficiency, but you're not going to send the military to go work with,
No, I don't think so. Our military is rather engaged with a lot of other stuff right now.
But, that business, that model of that and the way they operate, could that be something, and maybe it's more difficult. People won't be willing to do that in civilian life, but that kind of model of efficiency, why can't we see that more in some of these industries?
Well, I don't necessarily view it as an efficiency problem still.
Oh, okay.
So before the pandemic, we were pretty efficient. Right?
All right.
United States companies, really worldwide companies, have squeezed costs out of their supply chain. They have made their supply chains, some would argue, too efficient.
Okay.
Our supply chains were so efficient, they couldn't adapt to a black swan event, what we call a once-in-a-lifetime event, which they're never once in a lifetime anymore. So essentially, our supply chains were so efficient with just-in-time inventory, all these concepts, we couldn't adapt to a disruption.
I see.
Easily, without feeling a lot of pain. We adapted, but there was pain involved. Right? So the plants such as Nissan out in Smyrna, who were using just-in-time inventory, as soon as there was a disruption in parts, I got to shut the line down. I've got no inventory.
Right.
Right? It's cost effective to have no inventory until you have no inventory coming in. Now you get a bigger problem.
Yep.
So I think we may have made our supply chains perhaps a little too efficient. And certainly too dependent on global supplies. Right? Now we've got to the point where we really can't bring a lot of that back easily to the United States. So we're kind of stuck with what we got, but there's a lot of companies now reevaluating, do I have my suppliers close enough to me? Should I really be getting parts from 2,000 miles away? Is there another alternative for perhaps only 800 miles away? Because transportation costs are so high and reliability now is kind of questionable based on these type of events such as the pandemic.
Yeah. Take a break on that note. When we come back, final segment with our guest right after this. Stay with us.